Hello, music lovers, and welcome to another episode of the Black Spitter Music Podcast. And today with us, we have a special guest with us. We have Al Horta from Be Cool or Be Podcast Out.
Hey, what's up, Andy? How are you?
And and soon we will be having Louis Vargas on here. And Jerry Supa is on vacation, but he sent me his list. And let me tell you what list we have today. Today's list, if you can't tell by the shirts that we are wearing, we are going to be doing the top 10 albums by the great Iron Maiden. Now, this is a band that's been around since 1980.
Oops. Sorry about that.
Oh, no, it's all right. And what a great band they are. You know, no one else sounds like them, and they're fantastic. And for a band that's been around for so long, they've had very little lineup changes. Even though the lineup changes have been drastic, like they've had three different lead singers. But am I right about this, Al? Have they only had two drummers?
Yeah, Clive Burr and Nico.
And Nico.
Yeah, in their recorded history, obviously, you go from the first album. Yeah, so
Right.
it's been two drummers.
Right.
The Dennis Stratton was the lead guitar player on the first album. Then he got replaced by Adrian Smith on Killers, the second album. It's funny, like the first couple albums, it was a lineup change like on every album. So
Okay.
From the first album, you had Dennis Stratton. Then they changed him for Adrian Smith for the second album, Killers. Then on Killers, they obviously changed Paul Di'Anno for Bruce Dickinson for the third album, Number of the Beast.
The Number of the Beast.
Then from Number of the Beast to Peace of Mind, Clive Burr got changed for Nickel McBrain. So yeah, like the first four albums, man, it was like a lineup change on every album. Then from that point on, like it was a stable lineup for quite a few albums. So yeah.
And then Adrian Smith left for just a short time.
Well, most of the 90s he left. Yeah, okay. The 90s, pretty much all the 90s he left. Because after Seventh Son of Seventh Son, he left. And then that was No Prayer for the Dying. Yannick Gears came in, and he was with them all through the 90s. And then
he stayed.
And then Adrian came back in 99 with Bruce.
Yeah.
And the reunion. So yeah, all the 90s, like he was gone, Adrian Smith. But he worked with like Bruce in the 90s too, on like his solo stuff. So they were kind of together like in the 90s, when Bruce was putting out his solo stuff.
Right. That's what I want to ask you about. What do you think about his solo stuff by Bruce?
I think he's had some fantastic solo stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
Chemical Wedding. I remember his first solo album, Tattooed Millionaire. He was still in Iron Maiden when he did that one. But I remember that getting a lot of airplay on MTV back in the day, like videos and stuff.
He did.
Yannick Gears was in his solo band. So I guess that's why when Adrian left, he brought Yannick in,
mm-hmm.
and because he was in his solo band. So I guess he knew him already and stuff. So he used to be in Ian Gillan's band, Yannick Gears. So he goes way back, with Ian Gillan and stuff. When Ian Gillan had the band Gillan, which was like after Deep Purple broke up.
Right.
So,
yeah.
There's a whole family tree on this crap.
Yeah. There's a big family tree of these English metal, these English hard rock, heavy metal bands where they all run around the same circles.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Like in the 70s and into the 80s, like if you would make a family tree out of all those British bands, a lot of like members drifted in and out of like other bands, man, all the time. Like it seemed like Whitesnake, Black Sabbath, and Deep Purple, Rainbow. They all shared different members shared between like all of them, So it was like I guess because England is small, everybody knew each other.
English is small.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but then you start to see other people's names pop up together.
Yeah.
In a different bands or in different projects. You're like, man, that's pretty cool,
Yeah.
Yeah. So Al, you went to a show this weekend. You went to go see Primus.
Yeah, I went to see Primus Saturday night.
Yeah.
They're still doing the Tribute to Kings tour, so they're doing Rush's A Farewell to Kings album in its entirety. And I saw them last summer here in New Jersey as well at Asbury Park, which was the summer stage at Asbury Park is an outside stage that they have, because Asbury Park is actually a small club, but then they have a back part of it that's outside. So during the summer they have a stage outside, and they can fit a bigger crowd there, so they get a bit of bigger bands playing in the summer there. And
But
Promise
it's
is
also
playing
kind of
on.
intimate at the same time, right?
Yeah, I mean during the winter, like when they close the summer stage down, like the Stone Pony itself, inside it's not a big club. It's a very legendary club, but I think like it only holds maybe like 500-600 people, if that.
Oh wow. Yeah.
I probably it can't be more than like 500. I don't think. I don't know the capacity, but a couple hundred people. It's not huge,
Right.
but like the outside part of it, the summer stage, yeah, it could probably hold like over 1,000 people, maybe 1,200 or something. And then it's right pretty much across the street from the beach, so even people like can hang out on the beach and like hear the show, you know. And but anyway, Promise played there last summer, but then I saw them Saturday. They played a club here in Montclair, New Jersey, called the Wellmont Theater, and
Yeah.
they were still doing the Rush album, Farewell to the Kings in its entirety, and it was really great. It was kind of cool, different dynamic to see them inside. I like the sound better on an indoor show anyway. Outdoor shows are cool, for the vibe. You're outside in the summer, but for sound, it's not that great. But hey, you're drinking and you're listening to music. You just kind of go for a vibe.
Right.
Inside, when you're watching the show inside, you can be a little more, intent on like watching and hearing it well, and so it was kind of cool to hear them do the Rush thing inside, indoors. So, and they were spot on, man. Like, I mean, instrumentally, I mean, Lust doesn't sound like Geddy Lee, so people that go on and think that it's going to sound like Geddy Lee are in for a rude awakening.
No, there's no way he can.
No,
I mean, you just can't.
there's not many people that could sound like Geddy anyway, unless you're
No,
doing a
and there's
Rush.
not so many people that can sound like Les.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
Yeah.
Les has his own personality, he has his own
Yeah.
voice, But instrumentally, I mean, he did great, man. I mean, Les plays like the keyboards, and they bring out the double neck guitars during like Xanadu and all that stuff. It's great.
Oh wow.
It's kind of really cool. So, and a great light show too. They show images on the screen, so they really put a lot of effort into it. And I think like they just played a show in Toronto, and Geddy and Alex showed up at the show. There's like pictures of them like backstage
really?
hanging out with them and stuff. So, and
that is really cool when
yeah.
when bands do that to support of each other.
Yeah.
Especially when they're doing homage to them.
Yeah. So yeah, that was my weekend. I saw them, and it's up on my YouTube page. The show, if you guys want to check it out, just search Primus Wellmont Theater, Montclair, New Jersey. It'll pop up under my page. Be Cool Every Podcast out my channel. So, and that's that.
That's really cool. Y'all go check that out, because Al really does a good job of broadcasting these live shows he goes to. This past weekend, I was in Daytona Beach, Florida, watching Rockville, and unfortunately, half of it was rained out. But I'm going to stick to the good points. I was able to see Smashing Pumpkins, which were fantastic. They played really well. Like Billy Corgan was saying that there were going to be no ballads tonight, and there wasn't. I mean, this was just bludgeoning Pumpkins.
Just rocked it, huh?
Yeah, they just rocked it with guitar solos, drum solos, with Jimmy Chamberlain, and there were 3 guitar players on stage as well, trading licks. So that was fantastic. And other notable bands I saw this weekend, like I was just telling Al here, we saw Down, which is with Phil Anselmo, and also Rex Brown, and I forgot his name from Corrosion and Conformity as well. I guess they're kind of a super group, huh? Would you call Down a super group?
Pepper Keenan.
Pepper Keenan, exactly. Yeah, so they're kind of a heavy metal super group, and they were fantastic.
Yeah.
And this was outside, but man, the sound was fantastic. We saw Hella Storm as well, and the Pretty Reckless. I was just talking to Al about that. I mean, the Pretty Reckless is a great band, and really good writing. And the performances are always good, so I enjoyed them. I also saw Kiss on Thursday, which was pretty good because I'd never seen Kiss before, so it was nice to see them. And
Oh, great, yeah.
yeah, yeah, I was able to see Kiss finally. I've never seen them before.
How was the
So
show? Good.
yeah, man. They did all the lights and the pyrotechnics and the fire, and I put some pictures out there on Black Spinner Circle out there. They played a lot of Gene songs, which was really cool. It was cool to hear his, God of Thunder.
Yeah.
They played Lick It Up, Heaven's on Fire, and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
it was a good show. And of course, they started off with Detroit Rock City, and but it was very good. I was very glad to see them, and it was very weird. This was an outdoor event. There were 4 different stages. So the way that I do festivals is I go from stage to stage to stage to stage. I don't stay in one place. I go from place to place, and I would see like maybe 20 or 25 minutes of someone, even though a lot of sets were about maybe 45 minutes long. I would leave and go get a good spot for the next band. So I was like 5-6 rows back from Kiss, which I was, very surprised I got that close.
Yeah.
So yeah, and unfortunately, Guns N' Roses rained out. But we were there waiting and waiting. All this lightning started coming and wind started blowing. They sent everybody out, but that's all right. Things happen. So let's tackle what we are here to do. We're here to tackle the top 10 Iron Maiden albums, and we were supposed to have other guests, but they have not arrived. Jerry Supa from BS Sessions with Mark and Jerry is in Myrtle Beach, but he messaged me his top 10 picks, and also addition to the top 10 albums, we're also going to do our top 3 album covers, because Eddie is just as important as the album, and Iron Maiden just such a fantastic job on packaging on every album that they put out there. They put everything into it, and us fans really appreciate that. So we're gonna talk about the album covers as well. But let's start off with their albums. Number 10. What do you got, Al, at number 10?
Well, number 10, I'm going to go with Matter of Life and Death. So, I saw this tour where they did the complete album. This is like kind of the first start of like kind of tours that they would do. Like if they had a new album out, they'd play a lot of the new album. Then they would do a tour doing like the old stuff, and they would like alternate. And I remember a lot of people went to this tour and they were pissed off because they did the whole new album and they only did maybe 3 or 4 old songs, and that was really it. But I mean, for me, I really actually enjoyed this album. So it was kind of cool for me to see them do the whole album. I mean, a lot of my favorite bands, I like hearing new music when I go see them. And should they have done the whole album? I don't know, maybe not. Maybe they could have cut it a couple of songs, but hey, that's their prerogative. That's what they want to do. Iron Maiden beats, they play by their own rules, so it's they have like such a fanatical fan base anyway that people are going to come out and see it anyway. So, but number 10 is going to be this one. Matter of Life and Death, and there's some good songs on here. These Colors Don't Run, Brighter Than a Thousand Suns, The Longest Day, The Reincarnation of Benjamin Brieg, For the Greater Good of God. There's a lot of good ones on here. It's more of the modern Maiden, so it's more like longer songs and progressive. And I've heard a lot of complaints about they should go back to their style, but this is the way they are now, man. It's either take it or leave it, I guess, but I like this album though. This is going to sit at number 10 for me. So, A Matter of Life and Death.
I want to just to touch on what you said there. I've been to several shows where the band will play a whole album and a new one, and I love it. It's fantastic, especially something from Maiden. that's great. But also, like you said, some fans do complain that their songs are getting too long, but they're just progressing,
Yeah,
and that's what you want a
that's
band
where
to
their
do.
headspace is at, man. That's
Yeah,
they're really into the progressive stuff, and I mean they were doing long songs in the '80s too, I
yeah,
mean, so
but yeah, but
it's
not this long.
yeah, yeah, but do I dig everything that they do? No, no, I don't. But I mean, hey, listen, they're still putting out stuff, and I'm glad they're still active, and you know, and I do like some of their stuff. I mean, just I'm still trying to digest like the newest album, Senjutsu, you know, um, and it hasn't really grasped me too much yet. But I heard that they're doing like 3 or 4 songs from it on this new tour,
Yeah.
um, so I'm just preparing for it because I have tickets to see them back. I think it's gonna be like in September, October here. I don't remember,
Okay.
but I mean, I catch them every time they come around. It's Iron Maiden, dude. You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah. You're not gonna miss that.
yeah,
Um.
it's gonna be a great show. So you know,
Yeah. Yeah. But I like a band that is as old as they are, and they're not just phoning it in. They're still trying hard.
yeah,
They're still producing great music for their fans. And sometimes they might hit a pothole here and there, but that's why we love it.
yeah,
Um, I'm going to be reading Jerry's list since he is with his family at Myrtle Beach. His top 10 was Somewhere in Time,
so I
which
just 10,
was what, 88? 88, I believe.
86.
86. Thank you. You
Yeah,
see, fact checker out here with me. If not, I'll be
I'm
saying
good with
that.
dates, man.
I would say that Mickey Dolenz played organ for Slayer if it wasn't for Al here. But number 10 for um for Jerry, Somewhere in Time, and there's the album cover for Somewhere in Time. I've always liked this album cover as well.
I love that
The
album cover.
futuristic Eddie
Yeah,
and the back of it, it's really cool. You got the little cartoonish
yeah,
Maiden right here.
yeah.
That's really cool. It's got different little places and hints and stuff like that. So
That's a
that
cool
was
thing about
his.
That's the cool thing about their covers, man. They always have like little hidden things in there. I guess we'll
Yeah,
talk
that
about
fans
it.
would go crazy about.
Yeah, yeah,
That they're a band that always puts their fans first.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
great.
definitely.
My number 10. I'm gonna go a little later. I'm gonna go with Final Frontier
Oh, okay.
for number 10. Again, we were just talking about their prog, the prog metal inclinations, and we're big prog fans. The more music, the better, and the longer that Maiden can play, the better for me right now. Final Frontier was a really good album. They got El Dorado in there, Coming Home, the Alchemist, and the Talisman. Um, all these were fantastic songs and did go a little bit longer than their usual tracks, but that's what I like about it. They kind of input their old no, that's not the album. But Final Frontier, I've got at number 10.
Okay.
Final Frontier.
All right. So my number 9, I'm
Mhm.
going with Brave New World. I don't have a physical copy of it with me here, so I don't know if you have it. If not, if you can hold it, but I don't know. I don't know if you
No,
have it.
I don't.
Okay.
Go for it.
So Brave New World came out in '99. It was the reunion. I think it was '99 or 2000. Might have been
2000.
2000. 2000. Yeah. So it was the reunion with Bruce and Adrian back in the band, and that was a nice return from it. I thought the album was pretty solid, pretty strong.
Hmm.
The Wicker Man was the first thing I heard from that album, and the riff was very familiar. It was kind of a little bit of a ripoff of Running Wild from Judas Priest, same kind of riff, but it was still a great song. I really enjoyed it. The Ghost of the Navigator, Brave New World, Blood Brothers. There's some good strong tracks on there. Out of the Silent Planet. Yeah, so it was refreshing to have Adrian and Bruce back, because when they had in the '90s when they had Blaze Bailey, I kind of completely dropped off on Maiden. I never even got those albums or anything. So I just kind of gave a hint right now that they're not going to be in my top 10.
Right.
But I didn't even go see them, or like, I don't know, man. I kind of moved on to other things, man. They just didn't grab me, So, but yeah, this was nice to have them back, and so Brave New World will be my number 9.
Did you hear any of those albums before we did this? Like a reviewed those,
The Blaze Bailey ones?
Yeah.
I've heard them, yeah. I've heard them since, like,
yeah,
and I've lightened up a little bit on them, but I still don't have physical copies of them. I never went out and bought them or anything. I don't know, man. I think he was incompatible with Maine and like his voice, Now, like the last tour, like I was hearing, Sign of the Cross, which was on one of the Blaze albums, and with Bruce singing, it's kind of like, kind of made me go back and like kind of revisit the albums a little bit, but I do like Bruce singing it better. I just like Bruce's voice better, man.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
So, but I don't know. I just those albums never really grabbed me. I know there's fans of those albums, and that's cool, but I don't know. I just never grabbed me. So,
okay.
One day if I see him in a cheap bin or something, and I'll grab them just to complete the collection. But
right, just for the completest reasons.
Yeah.
I completely understand. I don't have any of theirs on my list either. Jerry number 9, he has Fear of the Dark.
Okay.
In fact, I don't have Fear of the Dark on mine. My number 9, I have got. This is the one that I was starting to get into. Dance of the Dark. Dance of the Dead.
Dance of Death. Okay.
Dance of Death. Dance of Death.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wrote Dance of Dead. Okay.
I think that's the next album. I think that was the next album after Brave New World. I think that was the next one. So
now this. I'm sorry. What now?
No. Go ahead. Go.
This one here really was kind of a throwback. It kind of brought back that old Iron Maiden from the late 80s sound and feel with the anthemic songs as well. I really liked it, man. I really did. I hadn't heard it in a long time. So when we were going to do this, it was from 2003. So you're right. It was right after Brave New World, which Brave New World was my first tour that I ever saw by them.
Easy.
Rainmaker, No More Lies was a really good track by them. Dance of Death, of course, which is the title track, and Passchendaele. Is that how you say it? Passchendaele. Were the tracks that stuck out to me on that one. So that's my number 9. It's going to be Dance of Death by them. I don't like the album cover at all.
That's their worst album cover, man.
Yeah, it's kind of
it was like
computer generated. It's like a Master P album cover. Is what I thought it was.
I can picture exactly what you're talking about, Master P.
Yeah.
It's like the earliest primitive version of like Photoshop, and somebody just didn't know what the hell they were doing.
Yeah, and it's weird because they come from such mastery album covers.
I know.
You know?
Yeah, that was a big disappointment, man. So.
But the inside was a lot better than the album cover.
Yeah.
So that's my number 9. What's your number 8?
So my number 8 is going to be Fear of the Dark. To me, well, that was kind of like, Adrian wasn't in them anymore, but the song Fear of the Dark, they've been playing out ever since that tour. It's become a staple on the live show. Be Quick or Be Dead is a good song. From Here to Eternity is a good song. I thought it was a pretty solid album. I liked it better than No Prayer for the Dying, which was the album before that. I thought it was a stronger album. I thought No Prayer for the Dying was a bit weaker. So, but Fear the Dark had some good tunes on there, and but honestly, like Fear the Dark and No Prayer for the Dying, you can really tell the how much Adrian Smith is really important to that band, like when it comes to the songwriting and everything. Because when Adrian left, man, I mean, they started declining, in their songwriting, in my opinion, and they started becoming. I think you could tell like Bruce is kind of becoming a little bit uninspired of being in them anymore. I don't know, but I mean, Fear the Dark's not a bad album. It's pretty solid, so it sits at my number 8. I don't have a physical copy of it with me here either, but I do like the album though. So as far as the '90s Maiden, that's probably the best one.
Okay,
and they always play Fear the Dark live, man. I mean, it's
always, yeah, and it sounds so great too.
The crowd gets into it and sings along and stuff. So it's almost kind of like one of them latter day. It's already 30 years old, from '92. So, but God, I mean, they made that into like a Maiden classic live. I mean, it's almost like they kind of just kept pushing it, playing it, and it became a staple. So now it's like it's kind of weird to go to a concert and you don't hear them play it now. It's become kind of one of those songs. So
it is a fantastic song, though.
Yeah, it is. It's
the best one on that album.
It's got a cool, creepy vibe to it, which is, it's good. It's a great song. So
which is also like the album cover is pretty creepy too. The way that
with him in the tree, right?
In the tree bark, that's pretty damn cool. Number 8 for Jerry, he's got A Matter of Life and Death.
Okay, so that was my 10.
Yeah, that was your 10. I guess that was after
Dance of Death.
After Dance of Death, right?
Yeah, because I think that was 2005, I believe, that album.
Okay.
Which I can't believe it's that long ago already.
It's been that long, yeah. My number 8 is going to be Brave New World. To come back like you said with Smith and Dickinson, and they come back with so much energy. That, like I said, that was my first tour that I saw them in.
Yeah.
I broke my glasses and I had to watch the rest of the show through one lens. And then it was just a crazy show, man. It was outside. And but yeah, that because I really didn't give them any time for the Blaze era for those 2 albums. I really didn't.
Yeah.
And when Dickinson was going to come back, you get a whole new rejuvenation or a whole new excitement coming out, knowing what's coming out, and so that's why I got that there. It could have been a little bit higher, but there's so much more stellar stuff in front of it.
Oh yeah,
but that's a good album, and that's where I have it. I don't have a hard copy of it, but I gotta get these hard copies. I can't believe I don't have these.
Yeah.
But go ahead. Number 7.
So number 7 is going to be Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. To me, this is the last of the classic Maiden, the 80s era Maiden, which is they had a great classic run of albums. So this was like the last one. But this will be my number 7. And I was really into this when I was in high school. And, and I loved when they came back and did this tour again. They recreated this tour. I don't know, like probably
they did.
Probably 10 years ago already. I saw them with Alice Cooper on this tour here in Newark, New Jersey. But yeah, Moonchild, man, great song to open up. Infinite Dreams, Cannot Play with Madness. That got a lot of airplay on MTV.
Yeah.
The Evil That Men Do, Seventh Son of Seventh Son. I mean, the whole album is strong. This is when they were really starting to get progressive. Like, how they're progressive now. It was really starting with like probably they always kind of started getting progressed as they went on. Yeah, as I talk about the albums, I guess when Bruce joined, they were really starting to go in that direction already anyway. So I guess that's what they felt like they couldn't do that kind of style with Paul Di'Anno. So it's probably why they got Bruce. But when I get to the Diano albums, because I do have them in my top 10,
Mhm.
I'll talk about him. And I think he's actually an underrated vocalist. So, but going back to this album, though, I love the album cover too.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. It's my number 7. I gotta rank it somehow because now it's like gonna be all. I mean, I'm gonna reveal that it's gonna be all classic Maiden from here on in, and I gotta rank it
Yeah.
somewhere. So, but this is gonna be my number 7. And like I said, man, it's like really like it's kind of the last album with Adrian for a while, and the last run of like their classic albums. So, and I think after this one, they started to decline a little bit, but I love this one still. So 777 Son at number 7, ironically.
Jerry Supa, his number 7 is going to be No Prayer for the Dying. I got on cassette. I forgot to pull it, but
I do have the
I've
CD
got it over there
here.
against the wall.
Actually, I have the CD here.
Okay, cool. So No Prayer for the Dying. I like that. I like that album cover too.
Yeah, he's coming out of the coffin.
Yeah. Is that the one that's got bring your daughter to the slaughter?
Bring your daughter to the slaughter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy Smoke was a good song on here. Tail Gunner.
Yeah.
There's some good stuff. There's some good stuff on here too, man.
Yeah, it really is.
I just thought Fear of the Dark was a bit stronger, so that's why this didn't make my top 10. That one did. But I mean, I just recently pulled this one out too, just to give it a listen, and it's not that bad, man. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that one was on my like number 11, or like the outside.
That would have been probably my number 11 too, actually, if we were going higher. So,
my number 7. This is where I think that their prog started on side 2 of Somewhere in Time.
Yeah.
On side 2 is so proggy, and it shows where they were going to go. Somewhere in Time. Side 1, Caught Somewhere in Time, Wasted Years, Sea of Madness, Heaven Can Wait. Dude, Heaven Can Wait.
Yeah, I love that song.
Man, Dickinson just wails on that. But side 2, man, this has the loneliness of the long distance runner. That sounds like a Yes, title, you know?
Yeah.
So you know where this is going. Stranger in a Strange Land and Alexander the Great. They just go, you could just hear the music progressing and the songs getting longer, and it sounds great.
They started adding the guitar synth into the sound, so it was like a bit of a synthesizer thing going on. But yeah, I mean, I love that album, man.
Yeah, this is
I
a
love
great
the album cover too.
And this one here actually, it's I've liked it a lot better now than when it came out. When it came out, I was like, I don't get this, and that. Well, that's because I wasn't ready for this kind of music. I wasn't ready for metal prog yet.
Yeah.
So, Somewhere in Time is my number 7. Yeah, number 7.
So, I guess I'm number 6 now.
Yeah, you're on 6.
Number 6, I'm going to go with this classic right here, Power Slave.
Oh, wow, okay.
I mean, this is a great... Yeah, now it's really getting... It's just like the cream of the crop, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard.
But, dude, I mean, to open up with Aces High and 2 Minutes to Midnight, that 1-2 punch, like right off the bat, I mean, that's unbelievable. But, I mean, Flash of the Blade... What else is on here? We got Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. That's like a classic. That's like I mean, an epic track there. That's long. What was that? About 10 minutes long, probably.
It is, yeah.
Close to it. Back in the Village. The Duelists. Great album, man. I feel like there's like 1 or 2 songs here that's a little bit filler, but even that filler is still greater than some of their later albums. So
yeah,
but I mean, dude, this is a great album, and I love the cover of this, like the whole Egyptian theme, where he's like, almost like King Tut, you know. And I mean, shit, man. I played this a lot when I was in the '80s when I was a teenager, man. You know, I had a friend of mine, Ryan. He's a huge Maiden fan. I mean, really. I mean, it was my older brother that got me into Maiden because he had an album that I got, but he only had like one album. So, but then like I loved that album, and I had another friend, Ryan. He was a childhood friend of mine, and we're still friends to this day. We go a lot of times. We'll go see Iron Maiden together, and he like expanded me. Like he's like, dude, you know, he let me borrow all the different albums and stuff, and you know, then the Maiden bug really bit me then. So, but yeah, I mean, what was that, number 6, right?
Yeah.
Power Slave. So, yeah, I love that album, man.
Yeah, my cousin Carlos, he's the one I go see Maiden with.
Yeah.
The last time we saw them was for Book of Souls, which was, man, another great album, but it just didn't make it here. Jerry's number 6 is Seventh Son of the Seventh Son, which we talked about that. And in fact, I'm going to talk about it right now because my number 6 is also Seventh Son of the Seventh Son.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fucking sorry, I don't mean to cuss, but there's the back of it with like different inclinations.
Yeah.
Of Eddie, and then the inside of it. Like I said,
Oh,
man, Maiden always does great packaging, man.
Oh yeah,
it's great stuff.
That's a great poster for itself.
Yeah. You went ahead and already went through the songs, and you really did name them all, which is great.
They're all really good on there. They're all pretty strong songs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they really are, and like you said, and the great Marty Birch, you know, may God rest his soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, he produced them so well, and just knew exactly how this band had to sound.
Yeah.
And you know, when you have a producer like that, and then the packaging that they have, and the music that they have, it's just phenomenal, you know. And I wanted to touch on this about Maiden. You know, some bands have the sound but don't have the writing, or vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, Maiden has the whole package. You know, and it's they're a great band. All right, you're number 5, right?
Yeah.
All right.
My number 5 is gonna be Somewhere in Time. Man, I love this album, man. Like, I mean, that another friend of mine, my friend Eddie, who's a huge Iron Maiden fan as well. He drove like a year before I did, and man, we would drive around, man. We'd jam this cassette all the time, and then when I started driving, I had the cassette in my car, and this was like one of our most played cassettes, probably by Iron Maiden, going into the late '80s when we were in high school, and here's a CD. It's kind of a cool looking CD with the
oh yeah, okay.
Shit, you know. But dude, I mean, like, Caught Somewhere in Time is such a great opener. I love Nico's drumming on that. It's just insane, you know. And he's not a double bass drummer; he's a single bass drummer. And it's like the drum patterns that he's playing on there is pretty tough, man, to do with like a single bass drum. You know, he has a pretty quick foot. It almost makes it sound like double bass. Then, of course, I mean, you got Wasted Years, which is like the hit. You know,
yeah.
It's probably the closest they ever really came to like a quote unquote like radio hit. You know, Sea of Madness is great. What else we got on here? Oh yeah, Heaven Can Wait, like you said. The Long Distance Runner, great tune. Stranger in a Strange Land, Alexander the Great. Yeah, like you said, side 2 is really like a progressive. Really, when they're really becoming prog metal. You know,
yeah,
it was hints of that before this album, but really this album really started. They were like progressing into that area, but I mean, I love this album, man. It's got a great energy to it still, and you know, so it sits at my number 5. It kicks ass. I love the album cover too. Like, I love the cyborg Eddie, you know. So, yeah.
And what's so great about Iron Maiden at that time It was 87, 86, 88. Everyone was playing for MTV. Especially hard rock and heavy metal had to have a couple of songs that were hits that they made videos for and so on.
Yeah.
But Maiden at that time were making complete albums.
Yeah.
Not just hit singles. They were making complete albums.
Yeah.
They sounded like nobody else. They paved their own way during this time. And that's why they're still out there today. That's why they're still making new music, because of that mentality.
Yeah.
So props to them, man. And for number 5, right? Are we at 5?
Yeah, 5.
Yeah. Jerry has Peace of Mind at number 5. My number 5 is going to be Killers. It's going to be my number 5. I played it again today, wondering if I was going to put it higher, and I decided not to. There's the middle of it, the album thing. That's pretty cool. How it's got Eddie on it.
Yeah,
it's pretty neat. But the songs on here, Wrathchild, of course. And did you get that story I sent to you about Paul Diano?
Yeah, he was backstage. He was backstage at a recent Maiden show, right?
Yeah. And he was doing the show himself as well, and he performed Wrathchild over the weekend as well. Sounded great. But during his interview, he was saying that he understands why he was dismissed, because after the Killers album, he was saying in the article, I might get some words wrong, but that the direction that we're going, he was not very happy about. And that his participation in it was not going to be his full heart, because it's not what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
I guess the style of singing was going to change, or the style of music was going to change after Killers. The way that Steve Harris was going to be writing. And so this was the last album by their first lead vocalist, Paul Diano, who's still doing well. He's still performing just like we said. So that's my number 5. It's Killers. What do you got, Al?
My number 4 is going to be the debut. It's going to be the first Iron Maiden album. Now, years ago when I was in high school, actually when I discovered Maiden, I mean, I didn't really listen to Diano stuff, the first 2 albums, until much later on. Another friend of mine, he had like the first 2 albums. He's like, dude, you gotta listen to the early stuff of Paul Diano, man. It's like, if you like kind of, punkish, little punk with your metal, and you're really a little bit up your alley. And I remember he let me borrow the first album, and shit, man, I was blown away by it, because I was already I was getting into some punk rock too, and some hardcore when I was in high school as well. So I was kind of I was digging that faster, higher energy stuff, and this one just had this in spades. It was the perfect marriage. Almost kind of like Motorhead. Yeah. With blending punk and metal, and shit, man. I mean, Prowler, Remember Tomorrow, Running Free, great songs, man. Phantom of the Opera was a great epic that they started off with already, which to me that's kind of a hint of things to come already.
Yeah, right. Even all the way back.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they Maiden had that. The first 2 albums of Diano, he had that punkish attitude a little bit, but they still had that proggish element too. It was almost like they were combining the two, man. It was they made it their own. I mean, Charlotte the Harlot, that's total punk rock, and in Iron Maiden, they still do to this day the title track with Bruce. I wish they would do some more songs off the first 2 albums with Bruce, Transylvania. I mean, this whole album kicks ass, man. I mean, on some days this might actually rank higher on my list, but for now I'm putting it at 4. it's just tough to rank like these couple of top albums, man.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna put this at number 4 for now. Come back next week, maybe it might be 2. I don't know. But I love the Diano stuff, man. I really do. It's actually overtaken a lot of my other favorite Maiden albums when I was like younger. Like the Diano stuff is like really the stuff I'm really digging. And it's probably the stuff I play most nowadays too. I'm kind of burnt down on like the other stuff, So these albums still sound fresh to me. But number 4 is gonna be the debut Iron Maiden. I love that album cover, man. I mean, he even looks punk on there, punk rock Eddie.
Yeah, it's like a zombie with a mohawk.
Yeah,
and that's the first look that they had of Eddie, and who would have known how far they were going to take Eddie, and they took him. I mean,
they took him to a bunch of different places, man.
Yeah, it's just amazing. And to reiterate what you were saying about their punk metal, man, it's like hearing punk rock with the songs are longer with kick-ass guitar solos.
Yeah.
Instead of just a quick 1, 2, 3.
I mean, really, it's
solos were longer.
I mean, really, that's what kind of the whole new wave of British heavy metal was kind of about. Was taking metal to that next level, like infusing that punk energy with heavy metal. And I mean, that's like the new wave of British heavy metal. I think that whole scene was like spearheaded, by combining those two elements. And I mean, Maiden, they didn't begin it, but they kind of, when they came out, they kind of led the charge then, and I mean, shit, you got Def Leppard's first album, you got Saxon, you got Diamond Head, you got a bunch of bands from that scene, but that first Maiden album, man, kicks ass, man. I wish I would have kind of been into it like, earlier on, but it's better late than never.
Yeah. At least it's a part of your listening repertoire.
Yeah.
Jerry's number 4 is also going to be the debut album, which I think we covered pretty well.
Yeah, man.
On that.
That thing.
My number 4, Peace of Mind.
Great
Peace
album.
of Mind is going to be my number 4.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't explain how great this album is. Where Eagles Dare, The Flight of the Icarus, The Trooper, which let me show this. Got this also on maxi single.
Yeah.
As well. I've always loved this incarnation. Yeah. Fucking stepping on bodies and shit. You're like, dude. Dang.
Yeah, it's a great album, man.
Yeah.
Peace of
It really is.
I love that
again.
I love that album cover too.
Album cover, Insane Asylum.
Yeah.
Also lobotomied. His head is cut.
Yeah.
Blood came out of it, screwed back. And right here, Martin Black Knight Birch. I don't know what the Black Knight stood for, but the thing with Maiden, for how serious their music is and how serious they take their music, they always had a type of comedic
sense of humor.
Yeah, which was great.
Yeah.
Yes, a sense of humor. But yeah, Peace of Mind was my number 4. Hey there, Mark. Nice to see you.
Well, that's going to be my number 3. Is going to be Peace of Mind. So yeah, it's my number 3. I got this cool. I got in the '90s. They came out with the Castle label. Came out with some special edition CDs. So it was like 2 discs. So you open it up, and then you have like that disc, and then there was like a bonus disc in there, and then on the disc was 2 covers. They did "I've Got the Fire" by Montrose, and then "Cross-Eyed Mary" by Jethro Tull, and great covers, man. I mean, they did great versions of that. And sorry, I dropped my CDs. And then so yeah, I thought they kicked ass on those covers, man. And I was trying to collect all these Castle CDs, the double discs. They're kind of hard to find now, but and I think since then they've released like kind of a collection that collects all their B-sides anyway. But I like the sound of these CDs. They sound really good. But yeah, Peace of Mind, man. I mean, the first album with Nico McBrain coming in, and he comes in strong. Comes in strong with Where Eagles Dare. Revelation might actually be my favorite Iron Maiden song of all time. I love that song so much. I love the lyrical matter of it. You know, him quoting the Bible and all that stuff. It's just Revelations is probably to me the most interesting part of the Bible. You know, not to get too religious here, but I love the stories from that section of the Bible. So anyway, they made a great song out of it. So Flight of Icarus, Die With Your Boots On. I mean, shit. To Tame a Land. Yeah, man. I mean, and the production kicks ass in there. I think it's some of Nico's best drum sounds is on here. You know, and introduced them really well. You know, I mean, Nico was. Yeah. I mean, I actually like Clive Burr a little better as a drummer. That's just my personal preference. I liked his feel a little better, but Nico was a strong replacement too. I mean, he's like right up there too. You can't really. I can't really say that I don't like Nico. Nico's a great drummer too. I mean, he played with Pat Travers. He played with a band called Trust. So he played with a couple of bands. And I heard like he was there's always a story that he was the Eddie mascot, like when Clive Burr was in the band. He like in one of the trying to think what video it was. It was a video off of Number of the Beast. And I think it might have been Number of the Beast, I think, the title track. And there's an Eddie in there. Somebody dressed up as Eddie. And I always hear that's Nico McBrain dressed up as Eddie in that video, which is like completely like weird to me because he wasn't the drummer in the band yet. And I just find that so ironic, you know, it's so strange, you know, but yeah, I mean, I think people agree. I think that it really was him. So it's been said that it was him, but I find that
and like Bruce is kind of fighting them. Well, Bruce always fights some kind of, you know, like fighting evil or whatever. Yeah.
But that's where the sense of humor comes in too, you know. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You know, I love that about them, man. They don't take themselves. I mean, they take the music seriously, but they kind of like infuse a little bit of a sense of humor in there, which I think every band should, you know.
Yeah. You can't take. Yeah, exactly.
But that's my number 3 is Peace of Mind. I mean, I love the Martin Birch production on that too. It's great. Martin Birch to me was like the 6th member of the band, you know. He really was. Just
like George Martin was the 5th Beatle.
Yeah.
You know, you say that about Marty Birch because he really, and not just that they, you know, Iron Maiden embraced him as another member, not just their producer.
Yeah.
You know, they took everything he had to say into account. You know? Oh yeah, and also on that Trooper single I just showed you, Cross-Eyed Mary was the flip side.
Yeah, okay, B-side, okay.
Yeah, the B-side was Cross-Eyed Mary.
Yeah, they do a great version of that. I love that version.
Yeah, they do. Number 3? Is that where we're at?
Yep, yeah, okay.
3. Jerry has this one at number 3. It's got Power Slave at number 3.
Okay.
And so do I.
Okay.
I've got Power Slave at number 3. I remember I went to a Catholic school 1st through 4th, and in the 4th grade we were you know, for Christmas we would exchange gifts. And this girl that I'm still her name was Margot. Her mom and my mom have been great friends ever since we were going to school. She got me the cassette Power Slave for our 4th grade Kris Kringle. Right.
Yeah, it's a great album, man.
Yeah, there's the back. I'm gonna put Jerry and I's together for this paper sleeve. So on this one, pretty sure it wasn't before, but man, you sure did call the songs already. Aces High, 2 minutes to midnight, and if you look at the back of Somewhere in Time, on the back it's got the time of 11:58 p.m.
Yeah,
You know, it's got little increments for
2 minutes
different
to
songs.
midnight. Yeah,
Yeah, the Flash of the Blade, the powerful soundtrack Power Slave. You know, dun, dun, why do I have to be a power slave? And Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, of
yeah,
course, you know, it's their grand staple. And then on their live album after this, Life After Death, which is a phenomenal live
yeah,
album, one of my favorites of all time.
yeah.
Man, they really do kill it. They really do kill Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner
Oh
on
yeah,
there.
the live
Man,
version. Yeah,
yeah, the live version is just freaking awesome. Just shows you how great their musicianship is. There's the back, and like Album was saying, it's got like a King Tut or a Pharaoh cover to it. You know, if you look real closely, you got the Pharaohs to the side, but you can't. I mean, that face right there is pure. It's pure Eddie. You know,
yeah.
it's pure Eddie. Um, And I was reading somewhere where they have like an homage to Mickey Mouse on the wall scrawlings here, but I can never find it.
There's a lot of hidden things on there, man.
Yeah,
You know.
and one of them is a Mickey Mouse, and we were just talking about their sense of humor.
Yeah.
But I never really found it. Maybe one day I will look for it. But Power Slave is my number 3. Great stuff, man.
Oh man, down to the top 2.
Number 2, top 2 Iron Maiden albums for
This
me,
is tough.
Jerry, and Al.
This was like getting kind of tough for me, but like my number 2 is gonna have to be Killers. I love this album so much. I mean, this is the first album where Martin Birch came in to do the production, and it's like leaps and bounds from their debut to this one as far as production goes. I do like the production on the first album, but it's very raw. This one polishes up just a little bit, but still retains that energy, that Diano snarling, punkish energy. And let me tell you something. Diano is such an. I think like his voice is awesome. I love like the tone of his voice. I love his delivery. And honestly, nobody. People talk about like when Bruce came in, how much more range Bruce has, but if you really listen to Diano really has the same range that Dickinson has. He really does. He can really get up there. It's just that it's a different tone where Bruce is a bit more operatic in the sound. Paul Diano's doesn't have that operatic quality to his voice.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why people say, "Oh, Bruce has a much greater, higher range." No, Diano has the same couple octave range that Bruce has, just that he uses it differently. And I mean, listen to some of the shit that he sings on here. It's not easy to sing, man. Not all. I mean, he gets up there when he wants. I mean, you really have to listen to it. I mean, everybody always, like I said, everybody talks about how Bruce, and yes, Bruce has a terrific range. And like I said, he brings an operatic quality to the style. That's why when Bruce joined, that's why they went in a more progressive direction, because his voice suited that. But shit, man, Diano's voice was incredible as well. I mean, really listen to the first 2 albums, you'll hear what I'm talking about. All right. So anyway, Killers, Ides of March, Wrathchild. I was in a band that used to do that. It's a great song. Murders in the Rue Morgue. That's a classic. Genghis Khan, Innocent Exile, the song Killers, Prodigal Son, Purgatory, Drifter. I mean, the whole album is just a fucking classic, And again, I got like this Castle. The cool thing I love, this is like probably my favorite Castle double CD disc that I have. Because with this one, you get the Killer, no pun intended, you get the Made in Japan as the second disc.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah, you get the whole Made in
Dude.
Japan live album, which was like a mini live album that they released between the first album and Killers, or I think might have been after Killers. I think was anyway. Made in Japan. I love that live. And we're talking about live albums. That's a great album, and I love that Samurai. Well, we'll talk about that later. But yeah, man, it's got. Well, first of all, it's got the bonus disc to here. It's got Women in Uniform and Invasion, which were B-sides to some of these songs on here. So, and then it starts with Phantom of the Opera live, Running Free live, Remember Tomorrow live, Rat Child live, Killers live, and Innocent Exile live, which is the Made in Japan live album. So it's cool. So you get Killers and Made in Japan in one disc. You know, I need to get Made in Japan on vinyl though. Because I love that album cover.
Yeah.
But I love the bonus disc on here. It's the best bonus disc on all the.
Dude, it sounds like it.
2 discs, yeah. So if you could find the Killers double disc, man, grab that because it's a great one to have. But my number 2 is gonna be Killers, man. I love this album so much. I love Deano. He's really like pushed up into my favorite Maiden, you know, in more like the past 20 years probably. So you know, whereas in high school I didn't really like recognize. I didn't listen to the Deano stuff too much until a friend of mine introduced me to them. So, but Killers, man, is a killer album, no pun intended.
Yeah, and the thing is that when I go record shopping, unfortunately, I see Iron Maiden Killers. I've already got that, but I don't look it closely to see is it just Killers or is there more to it?
Yeah,
you know, so I gotta look at that more closely.
Yeah.
Even when I'm looking at everything, instead of saying, I've already got that, I really need to look closer.
If you see the Castle records, right there, and then you'll see like the little 2 CD thing there,
right? Yeah.
And if you see this Killers one, the 2 disc Castle, pick it up, man. It's definitely worth having. Just to have the Made in Japan as the bonus disc, because that was never. I don't think Made in Japan was ever released on CD officially.
No,
I don't think it was, man.
I mean, we all know the cover of it, and the T-shirts and stuff like that, but I don't think they actually have it out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, it might be I think it might be in like a box set as well. But as far as like on its own, I don't know if it was ever officially released. You know, but if you see, like I said, if you see that Killers 2 disc set, snag it. You know, because it's really worth it. And the sound quality, I love those 90s CDs. They sound really good. It's before they really started with that loudness war, where they were like brick walling, remastering, and just making everything too loud. These CDs, man, they're very crankable. They're very dynamic, and they sound great. So, and I'll never get rid of these older CDs, you know, just because, you know, because the newer Maiden discs, the remastered ones are, you know, they're too loud in my opinion. They brick wall them. I'm really into that production stuff. So the mastering is like they get too crazy with these remasterings and shit, man.
Like they clean it up a little bit too much.
Yeah, it's too much, man. You kind of lose the dynamics in the music. So
yeah.
Now we're getting into technical talk. So, but my number 2 is Killers.
But sometimes, well, no, not sometimes, but it's rock and roll. No, it doesn't have to be clean.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be clean.
True. We like it loud, man.
Yeah, we like it loud, and we like it the way that they wanted it. You know. Number 2 for Jerry was also Killers. So we did that. But my number 2, going to be their debut.
Yeah, great. I mean, that could easily be my number 2 as well.
You know, when we did the top 1980, we both had this on our top 10. But I kept on, even afterwards, I did not take it off the turntable for a while. Man, I love Running Free. Man, it's a anthemic punk. Just I'm running free. Yeah. The Phantom of the Opera, Strange World, Charlotte the Harlot, the title track Iron Maiden, but Prowler. Remember Tomorrow, such a great song.
That's a great song too, man.
And it's just
There's not a bad song on those first two albums, man. There really isn't. There's no duds.
And this one's on the Harvest label.
That's cool.
Yeah, this is off the Harvest.
That's probably an early pressing of that then.
Yeah. I really don't look that much into pressings, but I just knew that this one was a little different when I pulled it out and say, "Hey, I got some Floyd too." That's Harvest.
Yeah, Harvest.
So, Iron Maiden, man. This is such a good album. Probably something I'll probably throw on later on tonight.
Yeah,
just to hear it. But that's my number 2. That debut album, of course. 1980. We were just kids. We weren't listening to this ourselves, but I could just imagine what people thought of when they would play that.
Yeah, when it was brand new. When it first released. I was only 8 years old at the time, so I didn't really grasp it yet. Wasn't listening to it yet, but for people that were there in real time, and I can I just wonder how it was received. Like when people first heard it, they must have been like, "Wow, what is this, man?"
Yeah.
So
because really there was nothing else like it. There just wasn't. All right, you're number 1.
Number 1. Well, before I show them number 1, my wife had gotten me this for Christmas, like maybe 2 Christmases ago.
Yeah.
This is what is it? Really, really cool tin, and then you open it up, and it's got a cool Iron Maiden shot. Not a shot glass.
Shot glass. Damn. Yeah.
If this is a shot glass, you're a beer. Beer cup.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got the Trooper on there, and then it's got.
Have you tried their beer yet?
It's got the Trooper beer. There you go.
Okay.
Trooper beer right there.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of a cool collector's item she got me. I put this up on the shelf to like kind of display it and stuff. So
have you ever tried their beer?
What? Their beer's okay. It's not like earth shattering,
Yeah.
It's kind of cool to drink, and then I just save the bottle and I put it on my bar. It's kind of you got to save the Maiden. This I'll never throw out. This is a great tin.
Oh yeah, of course not. That's awesome.
Yeah, beautiful tin.
Yeah, it really is.
It's actually embossed, like you can feel like the texture of it, and it's really cool, man. So that Trooper beer, British beer, a little plug for them. But my number 1 is going to be the first album I ever heard by them because my older brother had the cassette, and I was just blown away. I was actually kind of scared of the album cover, but it's the first Maiden I ever heard, and to this day, it's still my favorite, and that's Number of the Beast. My brother had the cassette, and it just blew me away, man. Invaders, Children of the Damned, The Prisoner, 22 Acacia Avenue, Number of the Beast, Run of the Hills Gangland, and Hallowed Be Thy Name, which is probably the greatest epic, they probably ever did, Here they call Martin Farmer Birch. They call him Farmer on here. Martin Farmer Birch. Look at that back cover of them, like in a flaming hills and stuff. But this album cover is so freaking cool, man. It's like Eddie just kind of has the devil as a puppet, on the strings, and just making him do what he wants. Clive Burr was still on here, drummer. I love the drumming on this. First album with Bruce, and I mean, this album still kind of retains some of that punkish. Has still had a little bit of the punkish energy of the first 2 albums on here, but going into the progressive, starting to progress a bit, with Bruce's vocals and stuff. So I love this album, man. This will always be my number 1. I mean, Killers sometimes comes close to overtaking it, but because this is like the first one I ever heard, man, I don't think anything will ever dethrone this one for me, and I love it, man. So it's my number 1. Number of the Beast.
Yeah. Jerry, his number one is Number of the Beast. My number one, there has to be Number of the Beast, man. I mean, this is like the perfect album.
Across the board, man.
Yeah. I don't think we've ever done that before.
Yeah. It's,
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be a little different, but yeah, man. This album kicks ass, man.
It's just so good. It's hard not to, you know?
It's weird. Some people think like Gangland and Invaders are kind of filler, but I don't know, man. I love those songs. I love those songs a lot. Yeah. Hey, Lewis.
Hey, guys.
Sorry, hey, Lou, this is Al. Have y'all ever met?
No, I never met Lewis.
How you doing, bro? I'm doing great. I just worked late and life as usual. And I'm trying to scarf down some pizza, y'all. Excuse me.
Oh, no, it's all right. We just disclosed our number one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. We've been on like for an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, but you know what? There's only two of you guys.
Yeah.
So that's
it's only two of us right now. So what was your number one, Lou? Or do you want to run through your list?
Run down your 10, man.
I'll give you 5. Because
it's up to you.
I'm not a fan of a lot of like early stuff and some of the recent stuff. So I can give you, I'll start, and this is a very tough thing, right? But I'll give you my number 5 is probably going to be Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. It's kind of like most metal bands. Every rock band, every metal band goes through a transition.
That was my number 7, actually.
Oh yeah. You know, Kiss did a disco album. You know, and that particular album just wasn't as good as what do you guys just chose, like Number of the Beast, for instance, right?
Yeah.
My next one
number
would
4
probably be Fear of the Dark, number 4. There's a lot of one of the reasons why it's way back at number 4. A lot of mood swings, or it just seems like when a band's forcing itself to come up with a melody or a hit, or you know, like they're just kind of reaching for it. You know what I mean? Where did that one fall with you guys?
I think Fear of the Dark was my number 8. I think.
How about you, Drew?
It wasn't on my list.
Didn't even make it, right?
Not, but on Jerry's list, his was number 9.
Yeah, mine was number 8. It was number 8 on my list. And that was pretty much like, well, I'll tell you what my number 10 was A Matter of Life and Death, and number 9 was Brave New World. So those were like the two most modern ones. But then number 8 was that one. I thought it was stronger than No Prayer for the Dying, in my opinion. I don't know where that lands with you, but
it doesn't.
I mean, the song Fear in the Dark is such a staple of their live show. You know, they play it all the time.
Yeah.
And it's a classic. So, but there's some good stuff on there.
I
think it just suffers a little bit because Adrian Smith's not there. And Adrian Smith was a great songwriter in that band. So
yeah, he's a major contributor. Even musically, my favorite guitarist out of the whole group is Dave Murray. I mean, just the way he flows he's so smooth. He's the shredder of it, I guess I should say. Which I love shred guitar. I don't quite shred. I can a little bit, but you always whatever you're fascinated with is you know. And he has that just goes into you know, he'll play a solo with a bridge pickup, and it's nice and clanky and almost high pitched. But then he flips over to and you just get the rhythm pickup that is, and then you just get this, you know, yeah, he rocks for that. But Adrian Smith I know he's a major contributor to all of it, musically especially. He's very melodic.
Yeah,
you know, he doesn't rip solos out quite like Dave Murray, and that says a lot about a musician because they're not going there. They're not doing it to say, "Hey, look what I could do." They're actually thinking or approaching their material in another way, you know. So yeah, I get the why they would be suffering there. Um, number 3, 2, and 1, I could make them all number 1. They're tough. Um,
Just make it
I'll,
just make it 1A, 1B, and 1C.
right. My number 3 is probably gonna be Number of the Beast. Um, even though you see how hard it is. Bruce's entry, man, and I bet many would agree. Um, Without Bruce, I don't know what it would have been like. Um, Even his interpretations of the early stuff, you know, with Paul Di'Anno. I never listened to any of was it Blaze Bailey? I never listened to any. If
We
he
were
did,
talking about that earlier.
yeah, did he record with Maiden? Because I don't
He did 2 albums with them.
2.
never heard him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't say that pridefully, right? I just never at that time. I'm
Yeah,
like,
I said the same thing at the beginning of the show. Like when he came in, I just kind of dropped off on Maiden. I never got the albums. It's only in recent years where I pulled it up and maybe streamed it just to check it out. And there's a couple interesting things on there. But I mean, as a whole, he was just very incompatible with them. It just didn't sound right, you know? And
What we're so used to.
yeah.
sure, I guess, right? And that kind of sucks, right? For somebody to try to fill some shoes like Bruce Dickinson's. You guys big fans of Paul Di'Anno?
I love Paul Di'Anno.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the first 2 albums are pretty. I mean, the debut was number 4 and Killers was number 2 on my list.
I love a lot of that material.
Yeah, I was just explaining to Andy before too. You know, a lot of people. I was just saying to him. I was saying a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, when Bruce came in, he had such a higher range, a wider range." But really, he didn't because Paul Di'Anno had a very high range as well. If you listen to those 2 albums, he can hit high notes as just as good as Bruce Dickinson can. Here's the difference. Bruce sings in a more operatic way, though.
Yeah,
he has a more operatic quality to his voice. So obviously, when people hear that, they're going to say, "Oh, his range is greater, his range is higher." You know, Di'Anno had a more of a kind of that punk vibe to his voice. Yeah. You know, but still, he was hitting notes like, try to sing them. If you're a singer, try to sing his stuff. It's pretty hard to sing. So, you know,
I like that. I liked him too. Just that Bruce to me. I mean, hell, man, it's those, you know, what is this song? Running Free. Is it Phantom of the Is it what's it called?
Phantom of the Opera.
Phantom of the Opera.
Man, that stuff is real genius. When I think about those, why I like those albums is more so the musical part. I've been playing guitar all my life and bass, since 1987 or something. So it makes me gravitate towards Steve Harris in an incredible way, right? Because that guy is just, man, there's nobody like Steve Harris. But I don't have any dislike for Paul Di'Anno. I think a lot of it has to do with where I was in my life when Iron Maiden entered it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, it was Alice Cooper, Kiss, Grand Funk Railroad, Led Zeppelin. Iron Maiden was still kind of far out because I'm like 50 years old, man. So it's further back, you know. And then my parents listened to a lot of oldies and old country, and it was just when I got into playing guitar. I was in elementary school, but when I got to middle school, I started meeting some older kids. They're like, "Hey, check this out," and it was a very dear time for me because that's when my musical thing just expanded, and I was like, "Wow, this is great." But Number of the Beast is a very powerful record, and you know, in comes Bruce, but then Peace of Mind, in comes Nico, and that's it. I mean, that guy, Nico, just gets better. He just gets better. You know, there's some drummers out there that they develop as time goes on. I mean, if Nico stayed the same, it would be cool. But that guy, till this day, he's amazing and fascinating to watch. So there, for me, the 2 new attributes are like this is it. And you know, um, you guys feel the same, different, or
Oh yeah, we were just talking about Nico, but you were talking about the first two albums. I've got Killers at number 5 and their debut at number 2. I love their
oh,
debut album. Yeah,
well, we're gonna have to arm wrestle about that.
and I'm number
How about
2,
you,
but
Al?
I'm actually more of a fan of the Clive Burr than Nico, but not to say that Nico isn't great. He is great, but I like Clive's feel better. I felt like
You
he
know,
had
even
more.
Bruce said that.
Yeah. But I mean, Nico's an amazing drummer too. I'm not saying that he's not. You know, I came in at Number of the Beast, so that was my number one, and I love Clive's drumming on that as well as the first two albums. There's just something about his drumming that's just I love the feel of it.
Yeah,
But when Nico came in, and I love Nico's drum sound. You know, he had a
yes,
great drum sound.
he's
You
got a
know,
nice tone. Yeah.
and he had a great right foot too. He's not a double bass drummer. You know, he's a single bass drummer, but his right foot's quick. It makes it
Yes,
sound
man.
like double bass. You know.
Have you? I didn't know if this was if we had rules here regarding. I'm not here, by the way, because that's for me. But as far as like, because I remember Drew, we did some stuff where you talked about studio albums only.
well,
But
go ahead.
the Flight of the Beast album, if you listen to Nico on that thing and that right foot, man, and he gallops in certain ways along with Steve Harris, just instead of just keeping a boom bap hits. There are times you hear him go, and I'm like, golly, his ankle must hurt. And he accents with the guitar players and all that. But, you know, if Clive was still around, I guess he would have had more time to develop in that manner. I'm not saying neither one's better than the other. Just music's about personal preference, right? I mean,
Exactly.
if we get in those arguments on Facebook, if Ace Frehley was better or Bruce Kulick was better with Kiss and all these different things. And it's like, well, it depends on what you like, right? I mean,
I like them both.
Yeah.
You know? I just happen to kind of prefer one a little more than the other. That's all.
And you know what? When you're a fan, you're a fan. You love it all.
Yeah. So
okay. So my number 2 is going to be Peace of Mind.
Peace of Mind.
Oh, I think I just said that right. Yeah, because number 1, Power Slave. Period.
I had Peace of Mind at number 4 and Power Slave at 3.
Yeah.
So we think highly of those as well.
I think I had Power Slave at 5. Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah. I mean, the first album through like Somewhere in Time is like, I think they're all like classics, man. I love all of them. Yeah. It's so tough to rank them all, but I mean, like I said, I to me it's like 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. So
yeah, but that's what makes it fun.
It's what makes it fun.
Yeah. I think I had a guy I used to work with that he was a big Jimmy Page fan, and he would say stuff like, "Man, you know, and you know when you're like have a number one, nobody is better than that, right? Like I get into arguments about who had a better range, Freddie Mercury, or not a better range, a better singer or a better voice, Freddie Mercury or Robert Plant. And I'm like, dude, it's Robert Plant all the way. And everybody talks to me about all these different things. I said, okay, fine, but you're not gonna get me out of that.
Yeah,
right. Paul Stanley was probably the most underrated rock and roll singer of all time. But anyhow,
see, for me, it'd be like if we're talking about singers, it'd be like Robin Zander of Cheap Trick. That's like my favorite.
He still sounds good.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, he's holding it.
So
yeah. You know, this guy was going on about. I'm sorry.
Freddie Mercury was great, but he's not my favorite singer. You know, I was never a big fan of like the operatic type of vocal type of style. I mean, even though I do love Halford, I love Dickinson.
Yeah, that's different though, because I don't like Queen, so I really don't pay that much attention to Mercury because their albums are a bore to me. You know, they had hit singles, but trying to sit through an album of Queen just bores me.
For me, my favorite Queen is the first 3 albums when they were just a kick-ass, heavy, hard rock band. When they started getting into like the the operatic and the show tunes and all that. It's like really,
Show.
There was still some good stuff, but like I don't know, it just got a little too overblown for me.
Well, it's the same approach with the Maiden stuff. Once they
Yeah.
start becoming very formulated and polished, it's like, no, man, like, and then Kiss did the same. They did this kind of weenie records, from Dynasty to Unmasked, and then music from the Elder, and they did Creatures of the Night, and it's the bombastic rocking album, right? So everybody's got to go through that. That's what I was talking about regarding Maiden and stuff like that. Like, I've been listening to some of their new stuff, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
But however, Power Slave. So my buddy was talking. So I just give you a quick tidbit of why I think some of the things on that album are just fabulous. He was talking. My buddy was talking to me about orchestrating guitars. He's like, man, Jimmy Page could read, man. I never heard anybody orchestrate guitars like him. And you listen to In the Light on Physical Graffiti. A lot of the Physical Graffiti album actually had guitars doing counter melodies and all this, and then eventually they're playing the same lines, and then they start harmonizing, and then you got a nice rhythm guitar. Yes, but I told the guy, you need to listen to Lost for Words. So one day we were working together, and I had the cassette. I said, check this out, the instrumental on Power Slave. And if you really like, when you hang up with us, when this is done, go back and listen to Lost for Words and listen to all the guitars, man. And you got these guitars harmonizing, and then another one go boom, and you got all this crazy stuff. I'm like, man, these guys worked this record. And I'm a guitar player and bass player, so I'm thinking about the craftsmanship of it. Before even the vocals, I'm like, I rarely learn words to songs. I have to, like, in my bands, I have to study lyrics because I like music first, So Power Slave really does that for me. The song Power Slave itself, Rhyming Ancient Mariner, golly, man, that stuff's just incredible. Yeah. And my first Maiden concert was the Power Slave tour.
Yeah,
and it'll always be special, your first one.
And Wasp opened up. I didn't like them at all, but it was fabulous. There's every song, Flash of the Blade. See how I can just rattle the names off of this album better than the other ones, Flash of the Blades is powerful. I like their content. I like what they're singing about. They're singing about real stuff that it may be folklore to many people or mythical stuff, but it's actually history. And I like that, like, Steve Harris can read the book Rhyming Ancient Mariner and turn it into about an 11-minute song. I mean, that's pretty cool stuff.
And that's what we're talking about. That back then in 86, 87 on MTV, a lot of these bands were just trying to get on MTV, and Iron Maiden was doing something completely different. They were doing complete albums.
Yeah, no airplane.
And and they forged their own path. That's why they're still making albums today. That's why they're still doing fresh music, because they go their own way. They don't follow fads. Mm-hmm. And that's, and they did hit a rough patch, but every band that's going to be as long as 40 years plus, it's going to hit some kind of rough patch.
Yep.
It's just like everybody.
It's impossible to not have one.
Yeah.
Like Elvis's bad time was making movies. I mean, all that bubblegum stuff, I mean, we got back to just music. He was incredible.
Yeah. He never lost it, but man, I've got some of those movie soundtracks, I guess, and man, they're just corny.
I know. But I gotta play that stuff. I played a song called Bossa Nova, and I'm like, I don't want to play this song, but it pays me good money, so I have to learn that. I would say crap. I got to learn that junk. I'd rather play.
Well, let's hope that they're not watching this.
I'm gonna share it with them. I'm gonna share it with Vince. Vince is the guy I do an Elvis Presley show with. A tribute artist. I play bass for him. Another thing too, a famous quote from Bruce Dickinson. I believe this was right before Somewhere in Time. He says, "You can't play a rock and roll with a synthesizer. You just can't." Somewhere in Time got synthesizers on it.
Yeah.
That's what happens when the producers get a hold of them. But they have maintained their integrity, though, as far as
they really have. That's what makes them still so great, is that they stick to their guns, and they're in this point in their career where they can do whatever they want, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yep.
And Al and I were talking about this earlier, and the fans love it, because they'll follow Iron Maiden.
Yep.
Yeah,
I've seen them tons of times by now, and I have no regrets. I went to one where they did nothing but new material, and I was like, well, I took my baby boy Joshua to that. He was like 4 years old, but he loved Eddie.
That's what I was talking about as well.
Yeah, he likes Eddie. Look, there's Eddie right there. You can see Eddie. There it goes.
Right under Peter Chris.
Oh, I got everybody. Everybody's
nice.
Oh wait, it's showing funny.
That's cool, man.
And there's John Lennon.
Wow.
The caricature. I got one on my butt, but I won't do it since we're on TV. I won't show it to you. But yeah, so those are basically my. I was thinking all day, man. I don't know if I could go through 10 records. Okay. I'd be making stuff up.
I'll be making stuff up.
Yeah, I like this one because of this. And I don't,
Yeah.
But those right there, those to me, those albums are real landmark. I had a lot of people enjoy debuts, and I just haven't sat down and really, really, really gotten off into all that. But what's cool to me these days, though, is that they have 3 guitars, and there's a documentary out there on YouTube with Iron Maiden, and initially they were a 3-guitar band. Did you guys know that? That was
I didn't know.
Yeah, they were a 3-guitar band way back before they, really did anything, and in the 70s, of course. So it just brings it back. And two, the cool thing about 3 guitars is you got, these guys doing solos, and there's still a rhythm guitar in the background. Versus, you have like bands that are 4 pieces. You have a guitar, bass, and drums. You got this great rhythm going on. The song's good and full. Guy takes off in a solo, and it just kind of falls out. Unless it's, Eddie Van Halen or Stevie Ray. But so that, for me, that fills it up pretty good. I enjoy them tremendously, and I listen to them a whole lot. Those albums.
Okay, so let's go to our top 3 album covers. Al, what's your number 3 album cover?
Well, let's see here.
They're making me feel bad. I don't have any albums.
I'll go with the debut. I'll go with the debut as number 3. Like I said before, I love the punkish Eddie with like the punk rock hairstyle.
The piano.
Yeah, it kind of shows. It kind of just shows what kind of music it is inside, And I don't know. I love this album cover. I remember the first time seeing this. Now I was like, wow, man, fucking Eddie's cool as hell,
Yeah.
And I'll pick this one as my number 3.
And why don't you just do all 3 of them? What's your number 2?
My number 2 will be Somewhere in Time. I love this futuristic cyborg Eddie. Yeah. It's like Blade Runner, man. I love that movie Blade Runner. It's like a futuristic,
RoboCop was also out during that time.
Yeah, RoboCop and Terminator, and I mean, I love this album cover, so that's my number 2. And then my number 1 will always be like the first album I ever heard by them, and it's this one. I love the Eddie, having the devil as a puppet, and I don't know, just such a cool ass album cover. Props to the Killers cover here too. I mean, the Killers cover is a great one, and I really love the Made in Japan one where Eddie's like a samurai. That's a great.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's a Diablo record, right? That's a Diablo record.
That one might actually be my number 1. Actually, the Samurai Eddie. So I mean, there's so many great album covers. Dance of Death sucks though.
Yeah, we were talking about that. Master P.
What sucks?
Of the Dance of
that album
of
cover
the Dance of Death album cover.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of computer generated album cover, which is odd for them.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't have any money.
I'm sorry. Jerry's top 3 album covers. His number 3 was. No, wait a minute. That's mine. His number 3 was Number of the Beast. His number 2 was Matter of Life or Death. Of Life and Death. The one with a tank on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, with War. And
Hold on.
his number one
Yeah,
was
right here.
Killers.
That's
Yeah, that one right there. Yeah.
So.
And his number one is going to be Killers.
Yeah, it's a great one. It's
Yeah.
right here.
And you, Lewis, do you want to talk about album covers?
Yeah, sure. They're
You got
all
three of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish that they had, actually, this is a wish. You ever seen that picture of it's Eddie playing the bass guitar, which is supposed to be like Steve Harris?
I think it's his shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, where'd you get it, man? I need it.
That one, right?
Oh, bro.
Yeah.
You love me, right? We've known each other a long time. Okay. I wish that was an album cover. That's all I wanted.
I think I bought it
At the flea market?
No. Oh man, what's that teen place that sells a bunch of teen stuff?
What was Hot Topic?
Hot Topic, yeah.
Or Spencer or something like that?
No, not Spencer, but Hot Topic. But
All
Spencer's got some really cool shirts right now.
Yeah.
They do.
Okay. Number 3 is going to be the Power Slave.
Yeah.
That's
It's pretty cool, the Egyptian thing. I don't have much to elaborate on about that other than I just love the album. Maybe I'm a little biased for that reason. My number 2 is going to be the Number of the Beast as well. Yeah, there you go. The Number of the Beast one. A lot of people say it's about presentation, right? So in 1976, when I first laid eyes on Kiss and heard them, my uncle came home to my grandmother. Me and my brother were chilling at my grandmother's, and him and my brother actually came home. They were close in age with the Kiss Alive record. And then my uncle comes home with the poster the same night, and it's the bicentennial one, and he hangs it up on a wall. And I'm like, who's that? You know, it's Kiss. I'm like, well, now they're monsters. You know, I was a little bitty boy, but it's what catches the eye, right? Like, you know, same with Alice Cooper. And I was like, what? This guy's, you know, got a snake and all that kind of stuff. It was fascinating. So when I got a hold of that Number of the Beast, and you know what? That's just an awesome album. I played with one of my bands on our second set. I play either 2 bass lines as an intro when we're starting. One of them is either Number of the Beast itself, or the bass part on Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, when it goes you know. So yeah, I ripped those parts off, but some of it's Number of the Beast. Just depends on how I'm feeling that day or how many beers I had. And the best one to me, I love so much, was going to be the Peace of Mind album cover.
Yeah,
pretty cool. And all the whole Eddie thing changed for me because of my little boy Josh. When he loved Eddie, he didn't know nothing about Iron Maiden. I just took him when he was like 4 years old because I knew he would see Eddie. You know what I mean? And I bought seeds, but man, he was so little. Now he's like 5'10", big old boy. And we leave the place, and he says, "Daddy, they sang Eddie's song." I said, "What Eddie song?" And he made up a song, you know, "Go Eddie, go Eddie." That's hilarious. But yeah, Eddie sold it to me.
Yeah. My number 3 is going to be Power Slave. I like the whole presentation.
Yeah.
Of the Pharaoh and just like taking over, you know. My number 2, I used to have this shirt too, Killers. I just love the album cover, you know. You got him with his axe and the dude's still grabbing at his shirt, you know, still trying to live. And number 1 is going to be, I cheated. I picked 2, and one of them is the live album.
Which one?
Number of the Beast.
Oh.
And dude, this one here, love this album cover. It's going to be the Live After Death.
Man, I was going to say that one. That one's pretty awesome too.
Dude, with a lightning and him coming out of the grave with fire around him. It's it's an amazing album cover.
It's an amazing.
So my number 1 is going to be Number of the Beast, but I needed to mention this one here. This too is an iconic album cover.
Yep.
You know, this was everywhere back then in the late 80s.
Yeah.
You know, when they toured the world for 2 or 3 years, and man, they were everywhere. And unfortunately,
That was my
I
first
couldn't
one.
do it during that time.
Yeah, that was my first concert. That one right there.
So, so those are the album covers we're talking about. Hey, Lewis, thanks for joining us.
I'm sorry, I'm
and
so late. My laptop
and going over your top 5. And Al, always thank you for taking the time and doing this. Next Wednesday, I don't know if y'all caught this, but next week's episode is going to be a vinyl battle. Blizzard of Oz versus Heaven and Hell. We'll dissect them track by track.
Cool.
Just like we did the Kiss and Cheap Trick, but this is going to be Ozzy Osbourne, Blizzard of Oz against Black Sabbath's Heaven and Hell, which there's so much history there during that time. I had to put them against each other and see who we think did better. You know, did Black Sabbath do better by getting rid of Ozzy, or did Ozzy forge forward and really pulled out in front? So let me know if y'all want to do that. It's going to be next Wednesday at the same time.
Okay.
You make me want to jump on it right now and start talking about it.
I know, right?
That's exciting, man.
Yeah. So we'll go track by track
discussions. Hey, Al, it's good to meet you, man. Where are you from?
Louis. I live in New Jersey.
In Jersey?
Yeah.
Right on. What's it like out there right now? Good?
Yeah, it's getting nice, and the weather's getting nice, and it was hot. It was hot this past weekend. It was like 90s.
Oh, come down here, bro. Tell them, Drew.
Where you at?
We're in Texas. We're in Houston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. But the thing is that the humidity here is bad. Look at what happened to my head. I lost all my hair because of the heat. It's scorched.
Wow.
But
no, but I've known Lewis for a good 20 years.
Cool.
And I work with his wife as well. Yeah. So I've known Lewis for a very long time. And in fact,
we've always discussed music.
Yeah, we always discuss music. And that's how we became friends. It was so funny. We met at a party. It was a Super Bowl party, and we were the only two watching the halftime performance.
And not only that, we went to listening to albums that night.
Huh?
We went to listening to albums that night. And so everybody was getting an album. Were we at your place, Joe?
Nuh-uh. We were at my place later on when
but everybody was grabbing a record and later songs.
Yeah.
I might have had a beverage or two. That's memories of it. All right, guys. Well, y'all have a good night, man. I'm sorry I was so late, like I said.
Oh no, man. Thanks a lot for sharing your top 5 and talking about the album covers and your experience with the band. So thank you so much.
Nice
meeting you. I'm gonna go back and watch this once you get it posted.
All right, man. I sure will.
Okay.
Andy, thank you very much.
Oh yeah. Thank you. And thank all of y'all out there, all you Iron Maiden and music fans. Thank you so much for watching and for commenting and all that good stuff. And like I said, we'll be back next Wednesday with another episode of Blizzard of Oz versus Heaven and Hell. All right, guys, you take care.
All right. Have a great night.
All right. Yeah, I'll see you all around.
Bye-bye.
Bye.